This video now is about what we need to do in Ukraine for the economics and the situation in the war. It's my first visit after 3 years of war in Ukraine. I'm here in Lviv and I want to make clear what I recommend now economically and also in terms of institutional integration of Ukraine into the European Union. Of course, this is what we need to do. We need to get, by the way, Albania, Kosovo, Ukraine all together in the European Union, but we must be bolder, not talk about bold Europe, arm Europe, but really get it done. Of course, Ukraine needs the weapons to defend herself and to be successful, same as the Albanians needed it in the 90s and now the Ukrainians need it, but they have already a lot of defense industry, and so what they need is, of course, much more money. We need Euro bonds for victory bonds we need. I have repeatedly called for that already now since 3 years. We need 1,000 billion, also 1 trillion of Euro bonds for the victory, the integration and the success of Ukraine. And this is absolutely a good investment, and it's very justified to repeat what we have done with the COVID recovery funds. We do it now for Ukraine. And in order to make that all work, we have to be much bolder. I was at the border again between Slovakia and Ukraine, coming from Austria by bus, by Flixbus. So what we need is Ukraine in Schengen. Yes, and we can. Yes, we can. Yeah. And Ukraine in the Euro. Yes, we can. And in OECD and in the EU Customs Union. And we can do that absolutely fast. Yeah. And no Tusk and no kind of Meloni and, to stop us. Yeah. We are ultimately the European Christian center. We want Europe to be strong. And if J.D. Vance and Trump have lost the trust in Europe, it's our continent, it's without alternative. We will lead it to victory. And we have all the tools. Yeah? So what we need, if we not just want to philosophically and morally honor the people who gave their life for Europe in 2014, and also the people who are now at the eastern front of Ukraine. And I showed you the videos of the graveyards here in Lviv, but many of them die every day. And, if we want to make that all senseful, meaningful, of course we have to win. Defeat, concessions, compromise. It's absolutely not happening with such an invader and aggressor like Russia. So what we need to do is to do a strategy which really is successful. And therefore we need obviously the Euro, we need the Schengen membership, the Customs Union membership, and of course the Euro bonds, and of course Ukraine in the European Union 2029 at the next European elections and not somewhere in a distant future. And, by the way, this was all Europe in every meaningful sense in the 19th century. And so why shouldn't it be again? They want it, and we have to want it, if you say so. And I know some people in their minds have not really come to terms with that idea. I know many politicians in Austria and Germany, and I want to change that. We need to be clear. There is no other way than victory. And Ukraine is integration into the EU. And of course into NATO, if it's possible with the Americans. But the EU, nobody has a veto, but we self. And so we get them in, and that's the way to be victorious. And that's the way for the next 30 years to be absolutely very successful as well. And for Ukraine to be successful, and for us to be successful and rich and prosperous. This is the way. And this is, if you want, our moral obligation, our historic obligation. But that makes economic sense and strategically sense as well. And here it is very simple. Fast-track integration into Schengen. Anyhow, the borders are theoretically open because the people can go and goods can move. But in reality, there's a lot of blockades there because we have not had the courage for Schengen membership. We have also now pegged the hryvnia more or less at 45 to the dollar, but it's much better to do it like in Bulgaria now fast, peg it really fully to the euro and then to transition to the euro like we have done it in Kosovo and in Montenegro. Much better. And then immediately full membership of the EU. Why to wait? I cannot get the reasoning. Does anything get better? And if the big counter-offensive now comes, which Russians seemingly announce and prepare for now in April, we have to repel it. And Friedrich Merz, you have to send the Taurus. this is absolutely clear, and we have to all multiply our efforts financially, industrially, militarily, and institutionally in order to win. And we have to win in this war. Otherwise, let's not take negatively, but losing it would be a hammer blow against everything we stand and everything we built since the end of the Cold War, and ultimately since the end of the Second World War. And letting the bad side win, not gonna happen. I know the Americans are a little bit more distant, but for us, it's victory or defeat. And I prefer victory. So guys, this is the way for victory. I was clear, and let's get it done. Let's win this war. Slava Ukraine, glory to Ukraine, and glory to Europe, and everybody else get lost. Thanks a lot. All the best.